All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jacob Fisher. I'm a senior strategist here for meetings and devices at unifiedcommunications.com. And I'd like to welcome you to a special webinar we have focused on Surface Hub 3 and how it can help your organization break collaboration boundaries. I'm joined by my colleague, John Barrett, in the room there. He's a Teams Room evangelist here at unifiedcommunications.com. And I'm also really excited to invite two of Microsoft's leading experts on Surface Hub 3, Frank Buchholz and Mark Hodge. Frank and Mark have been on the journey with Surface Hub since the early days, so there's no two other people we'd rather have with us today. So Frank and Mark, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, you'll see Frank and John are in the studio there. They'll give us a little demo later on. So. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone that there is a Q&A that's enabled, so feel free to ask those questions in the LinkedIn event page. We'll unlikely have time here to get to those during the session. We've got a tight 30 minutes, but we'll try to as we go along. But if not, we'll make sure to answer any of your questions after the event's over. So let's dive in. So Frank, we'll start with the big one. What is Surface Hub 3? And how can it help your organization break collaboration boundaries?
Yeah, so we've been on this journey for a while. We started about 8 years ago of bringing meeting room, or essentially a computer, into the meeting room with the first Surface Hub, and bringing collaboration and kind of bringing disruption into that space by telling people to get out of their seats and come up to the Surface Hub so they can ink and annotate and provide collaboration. And so now we're on to the third generation, and essentially a Surface Hub 3 is adopting the Microsoft Teams Rooms interface. So this is running a kiosk-based version of Microsoft Teams Rooms, but I think the cool thing to show you is that this is a Windows-based Microsoft Teams Rooms. So if I was to come into the device and quickly hit the start button 5 times on a keyboard, what you'll notice is on my device here, I could actually come in and tap, I can come in and, let's try this one more time. I could come in here and I could actually tap my fingerprint against a fingerprint reader on the side of the device. And actually now I'm running Windows on the device. Now, this is for administrators. So administrators could come in and essentially set up settings. So this means that any Teams peripheral, whether it's maybe a Sennheiser tile that's connected into a DSP and bringing USB into the device, or another camera source, I can now administrate it and I can set it up and I can configure it all through Windows. And Mark's going to talk a little bit about using the Windows device in this case in order to provide autopilot and be able to get to the device to set it up and deploy it. But all these capabilities really bring a Windows-based environment to the Microsoft Teams Room space. So all of that capability that I have in Microsoft Teams Rooms to walk up and use the device, and now being able to drive a configuration where I can now collaborate with others through pen and touch. That's the idea of a Surface Hub 3.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Frank. So Mark, pass it to you. What are some of the unique hardware features of the Hub 3?
Well, thanks, Jacob. There's a couple. One is, like, first of all, you can buy a brand new Hub 3 and get a brand new device. And that comes with the latest and greatest processor, memory, and storage on that. If you got an older, the previous generation Hub 2S, you can replace the compute module in there and get the latest and greatest speed. And you will notice it is much noticeably faster and snappier. You see Frank holding the compute module. You can swap that in and out in about 60 seconds. So it's super easy. But that does unlock new capabilities. And so you just saw Frank show Windows. There are 2 modes of the Surface Hub. One is the appliance that we're all kind of familiar with running in a conference room that you see there on Frank's screen. But you can also reimage it to desktop. And so that has a different use case. So executive offices, and with the better processor, memory, and storage, it unlocks new use cases. When we only had 8 gig of RAM, sometimes we were bumping our head on that memory limits, especially if you're running a bunch of security clients. So this really unlocks new use cases for all of us to go experiment with and see what we can do with it. It also is a sustainability story, right? So I've invested in Surface Hub. I can just replace the module and get all the greatest functionality out of the device without having to replace the entire thing. And that hardware piece does unlock rotation. So you can see the hub behind me is now in portrait mode. This again unlocks new capabilities and use cases. So whether you have somebody that's full size and that's life size and capturing the image of the remote person, that allows you to catch, for the people in the room with the Service Hub, to see more nonverbal communication from the far side, which is the whole goal of all this video conferencing stuff, is to blur the lines between when we're not in the same room together and make the physical and the digital come together as best we can. Plus, in portrait mode, you can couple it with the battery. The battery's still there, part of the Surface Hub 2S, and it is part of the 3 also. And so now you can say, put it in portrait mode, put it into a front lobby, and use it for outside of the conference room capabilities. So again, there's all sorts of new capabilities that this is really unlocking. And Frank kind of mentioned this, where now that we're on the Windows operating system, the one for Windows MTR, it has unlocked all the peripherals. So as we go into all these new use cases that we're unlocking with the better speed, rotation, and mobility, we can tap into the whole ecosystem of peripherals that are team certified, which wasn't quite the case prior to. And so now we can really accommodate all these use cases. And let me just wrap this little section up by saying archetypes, because if you ever heard me talk, I always talk about the archetypes. You have traditional, signature rooms, and interactive, and the hub is a superpower in the interactive. We can't have any talk in Microsoft without saying the word Copilot and AI. But as AI comes and automates more of our life and gives us time back, we are being asked to use that time on higher value tasks. This is the perfect place to have a Service Hub in an interactive room where we need to brainstorm with subject matter experts and bring all these different opinions together to call out these new ideas. This is where you do divergence of thought. We want all ideas on the table, capture them on the whiteboard. And Frank will show you here in just a minute Copilot, and we'll see how that can actually play in a group setting, which is very unique for the Surface Hub.
Yeah. To that point, everybody can kind of see all of us have a Surface Hub behind us, as well as
a shirt.
Our Surface Hub shirts, all coordinated. Talk about it's awesome. Great how with the new updates and how versatile it is, where you can use it. But why don't we show what that's like? We've got Frank and John in the studio. Maybe they can show us some of the unique hardware experiences, some whiteboarding, some Copilot, some of the management piece.
Be happy to. Yeah, so we're going to transition just a little bit. So as Mark said, Surface Hub is now available for all room sizes. Whether you're looking at those different archetypes, it can be the hero device in the front of the room. But before I talk about, talking about the Surface Hub, let's talk about what the difference is between a classic console-based Microsoft Teams room and maybe the new Surface Hub 3. So when I look at a console-based Microsoft Teams room, I think of this device designed for consumption. Essentially, it's a console connected to an LCD. In this case, it's an all-in-one device with camera, speaker, and microphone, and a codec, or essentially a computer. And now I have a single solution that can bring video teleconferencing into any meeting space. But I say consumption because I can see the people on the screen. Maybe I even have 2 screens for this. And I have one screen for presenter or gallery view, and I have another screen that I can see the presentation taking place, but I'm consuming that content. What we want is to be able to add to that environment by being able to add another capability that we think of as co-authoring or collaboration. And that's where the Surface Hub 3 comes into space. So you have to decide when you're laying out your meeting rooms and those archetypes that you're building. Many of the archetypes are essentially going to be consumption-based meeting rooms, but some of them are going to be creative for collaboration as well. And that's, again, where Surface Hub 3 comes into play. Now, the first thing I'm going to show is I'm going to actually grab this 80 or this 50-inch, and we'll kind of come over to camera 2, and I'm going to roll it into the middle of the room. Because what I really want to show is that this is my 50-inch device, and I have it set for rotation. So I can essentially grab it and be able to turn it from landscape into portrait mode. And you'll notice the UI even moves with me as I'm kind of switching those different directions. But one of the things that I like to do with this device is to be able to essentially join a meeting and have a one-on-one call with maybe a coworker. So I'm going to see here that I have a call with Matt that I can actually come in and join on the device, and the device will automatically join that meeting. But I'm going to turn it into portrait so that I can actually see Matt and I can see his body language, and I can interact with him in a way that feels more natural. If he shrugs or has different emotions or different pieces, I would be able to see that. It's not just framed in on his face. The other thing is, this is a device that's on a steel case stand that allows for a battery to be integrated into it. And we have a battery from APC Schneider Electric in the device that maybe if I roll it back, you can actually see the battery integrated into the stand at the bottom. But this is an ability to literally turn any space into a collaborative workspace by being able to kind of move this device around and be able to flow it into spaces as I see fit. One time, the story I like to tell is I met Matt once in Suzhou, China, which is where we manufacture these devices. But I met him literally a month before COVID came along. I don't know if you remember that. He couldn't travel to China anymore. He was helping to set up the manufacturing line for the 85-inch Surface Hub. We were like, how are we going to manufacture the 85? But what we did is we were manufacturing the 50 already. So we set up these devices all throughout the manufacturing floor with the stand, with the integrated battery, and we were able to have our engineers in Redmond, Washington, communicate and be able to fix and build out that production line so that we actually started shipping the 85-inch right on time during that space. So super cool capability of being able to turn any space into a collaborative workspace, whether that's a stand-up that you're rolling the device into, whether that's an all hands, whether it's a big cafeteria. We're able to bring this all-in-one device that has an integrated camera, speaker, and microphone into the space and be able to use it. But the other cool thing is we actually have rotation-aware AV. And so we have the ability at the top of the device, we have an actual microphone array that has an 8-port microphone that locks in on the active speaker, but echo cancels out all the other ambient noise. But if I rotate the device to its side, that speaker is now on the side of the device. We also then turn off that microphone, and we turn on the microphone on the top of the device. And so we're able to essentially utilize that. But the other thing that we are able to do is we have a speaker that's actually built into the frame. And if I put a little bit of a spotlight, you'll see a little cutout on the side of the frame. We also have a speaker over here. But if you follow my finger, that speaker is now at the bottom, and we have that speaker at the top. So we put a third speaker in the device where we're able to turn that one back on. So if you have a Surface Hub 2S and you want to upgrade it so that you can do all these cool things, then you just need to buy this Surface Hub 3-pack from Unified Communications, and then they'll work with you. This is a super fast be able to upgrade. And what I can actually do is I can take the device and space it into here. It actually sits right about here in the space, and I can remove it, put the new one in, and then I'm able to bring the device up and be able to integrate it so that I can easily see Matt right away in that space. Cool capability that unlocks rotation and also brings to life this new capability on this amazing space. Now I'm going to say goodbye to Matt. So thanks, Matt. Maybe we'll do some weird high five thing that we try to do. So, and I will end the call there. And you've noticed how fast and zippy the performance is. That's with the new Surface Hub 3-pack that really brings things to life. Now, but what I want to show you is a cool capability within the portal, the Pro Portal of Microsoft Teams. And so I'm actually going to walk over to my device right here, and I'm going to see if we can grab the input. And so you'll see that I'm in right now the Microsoft Teams Room Pro Management Portal, and I have a 50-inch Surface Hub. This is actually the device that we were just on with Matt. I can see the status of the device, so I can see it's all healthy. Actually, it looks like it has a couple of security and connectivity concerns that I should look at. But I can also see settings. So I could change like the account address on this device. I could change coordinated meeting on this device. But what I really want to do is set up a remote access in order to remote into this device so that I can actually get into it from a remote standpoint. I could do this from a single pane of glass. So in this case, Mark, who's all the way over in Washington, D.C., and I'm in Redmond, Washington, he could be logging into my device. But you'll see that there's now a red bar around this device. But if I was to jump out, you'll see that that red bar is now around this device as well. So watch what happens. Without me touching the device, I'm going to come back to my desktop, and I actually want to come into settings on the device. So I'm going to type in the settings password, which is SFB for by default. Recommend changing that on your devices. But now I'm in settings, and so I could change the settings on the device. I could change different pieces that I want to have granular control over. Or the more interesting thing is I could even get down into Windows settings on the device, and you'll notice that it'll come into Windows settings in just a second. And so I'll be able to log into Windows on the device as well. So if I was the administrator of this particular device, we have that ability. So let's see, I'm going to actually end the session, but that was allow me to get in there. Right? We're doing a live demo, so everything always happens in this type of space. And so we'll come back to here, but it just shows that I have the capability to get in to not only see what the users see when they're in the room. I can guide them through experiences even if I'm remote, but I have the full capability to manage this device remotely in that different space. So now I'm going to push the device off to the side again. And now what I want to do is I want to jump into a little bit of a demonstration between these two devices. And so I'm going to showcase what's called coordinated meeting. Coordinated meeting means that when this Microsoft Teams room joins a meeting, so does my Surface Hub 3. And that just means that I could set up a room that allows both of these devices to be in the same space. In fact, the Microsoft Boardroom looks like this particular configuration, where there's a Microsoft Teams room in the front of the room with two 90-inch displays, and then there's a Surface Hub on the side of the room that allows me to whiteboard and collaborate. Now, the Surface Hub can certainly be the hero device in the room, but in that particular room, we kind of have a comparing of these two types of technologies. Now, I'm going to go in and use my phone to actually join this meeting, because I'm going to use essentially what's called proximity join to walk into the room. So I hit join meeting on my phone. And then actually, I'll ask Matt to maybe drop out of the meeting for just a second. And so I'm going to come in and be able to hit join meeting. I'm going to hit more join options. I'm going to hit join and add a room. It'll send out a Bluetooth beacon and look for all the Microsoft Teams rooms that are in my area, and then allow me to actually join the meeting remotely from one of these devices. So I see that there's an 85-inch Surface Hub. So I tap on that, and you should notice that the 85, as well as the Microsoft Teams room, join the meeting. And so now I have some bots that are coming into the meeting with me, and they will essentially help to populate and bring some characteristics to here. But the other thing that I can do is I can actually join this meeting and be able to take control of it from my phone as well. So I have the remote control capability where I could change gallery view. I could change the mute. I could do a lot of different things from my phone. In this case, I'm going to actually just control the experience from the device itself. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the view into front row. And what I like about front row is I can actually change the view where I now have essentially a unified background across the people that have been speaking most recently. I see Matt as the main speaker because he's who I've been communicating with. If I jump inside the device for just a second, I'll see that I have raised hands on the side, so I could actually raise my hand as a meeting participant. Maybe Matt, there we go. And then you'll see chat in the room, and even Matt could add chat into there so you could see any chat that's taking place in that space. But the other thing that I could do is I could actually bring in the whiteboard. And so I'm going to actually invite Jean back up into the meeting, and maybe we can jump out, because we each can now provide collaboration where maybe what I want to do is I want to come in here and grab my component and bring it over onto my side. Whoops, let's try that one more time. We did not rehearse this part. And I could come in and grab that, and I could say, hey, I want to grab this piece and bring it over here. But the things that you'll notice is how fast and performant this is in order for me to ink and annotate. And so that's the best thing about a Surface Hub for me, is the fact that we use active pens. The pens essentially inject a small piece of electricity into the sensor, and the sensor reads at 120 hertz a second. So what we see when we're inking and annotating on the device is maybe I want to assign my pen to be pink in this case, and Jean could assign his color to be another color, and we have this ability to have unique input streams onto the device. But we can also simultaneously ink and annotate on this device. And the other thing you'll notice is that when somebody like Matt has joined the call, who is remote, he feels like a first-party participant. I can see his collaborative cursors on the screen, so I can see the different things he's adding, and I can allow us to, kind of co-author together as we're up here with the device. Now, one of the unique things about Surface and the Surface Hub 3 is it is a single solution for Microsoft. It represents the best of Microsoft. Essentially, we have this premium hardware from Surface that brings the best pen and touch device in the market space into this product. We also have essentially Windows operating system that allows us to deploy, manage, and secure the device, just like any other Windows device in your environment. But the other piece is we have this Teams interface, an amazing capability, and all the new feature sets that are coming to Teams. And one of the newest features that's coming to Teams is Copilot. So I'm sure you've probably heard about Copilot from Microsoft. We don't get paid unless we mention it 5 times in an hour. So within there, Copilot allows us to spark the imagination. It's not called autopilot. It's not there to do your work for you. It's there to help you with your work. It's there to assist you, kind of give you inspiration, ideas. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump inside the device for just a second. And you'll see that in the bottom right-hand corner of the device is a Copilot button. So I'm going to actually move the interface a little bit to the side, and I'm going to tap on Copilot, and then I'm going to tap on Suggest. And what I have here, because Surface devices are built all about natural language and being able to communicate with a computer, essentially, I'm going to use my voice to communicate with Copilot. So I'm going to hit the microphone, and I'm going to say, I have a teenage son, and I want to get him a new car. What's a good recommendation? So now I just hit on Create, and it goes in there, and it comes up with a couple ideas. And so it has now it has a Volkswagen Golf and a Subaru. Maybe I'm going to get rid of the Honda Civic, and then I'm going to ask for a few more ideas. Nothing to say against a Honda. I own a. So I'm going to hit Insert, and what you'll notice is it comes up on the screen with a whole bunch of ideas. Now, other people that are in the session, including myself, could look at these ideas and they could add their own idea. So in this case, Matt's coming in and saying, hey, I want to add in an international scout. And so now I'm able to come in here and add that onto the screen. And so maybe Jean's going to come in and type in his own idea. Yeah, there you go. And he's going to add in his idea as well. So he's going to say, what's your idea?
Volvo.
A Volvo. All right. So now what I can do is I can actually take all these ideas that I have, and I can come in and I can circle them with my pen, and then I could categorize those into a category. And so what you're going to notice when we jump back into the screen is it says, hey, there's some sedans, there's some hatchbacks, there's some SUVs, there's some off-roads. Maybe what I want to do is go ahead and keep that. And now what I could do is even add some pictures of maybe some of these cars. And there's a picture of a Scout that I have that I can add to the picture. So right away, the beauty here is that whether I'm in person and being able to have dual inking and collaboration with Jean and I, or I'm remote and I'm able to add content, it brings everybody into a first-party participant, but also allows us to have the tools and the capability to get work done the way we expect to. I'll say, why attend a meeting if you're not going to participate in it? And here's a great opportunity in order to do that. The other thing that happens is at the end of the meeting, we can actually summarize all this content. So whether it's listening to our voice recording, it's been looking at the chat, or it's been looking at the whiteboard, when we hit summary within Copilot, it comes up with a loop component that essentially is inserted into chat that tells us exactly what happened, what are the action items, what are the follow-ups, what are the assignments, and the overview of what was covered in the meeting. Super cool capability, really helping to lead the conversation, all coming from Microsoft as a single solution with the Surface Hub 3, and we're super excited about being able to bring this product to you. So that kind of brings us a quick wrap up to our demonstration, but we're happy to answer any questions or be able to kind of drive forward with this.
Man, that was an incredible demo, Frank. You covered a ton in the amount of time that we gave you. Feels like you maybe done it once or twice before.
Just a few times. We actually give a weekly demo of about 90 minutes, and you're welcome to sign up and attend it at any time.
I just think it's so impressive of how you get to stand up, elevate the working plane in the room, and you're using ink, touch, and voice as your user interface, no longer keyboard and mouse, and just move into the next paradigm.
Right.
Yeah. That was
Frank,
awesome.
you mentioned about Copilot, and yesterday, for the very first time, I got the opportunity to see Copilot in real life. Not just Copilot, but also Autopilot. And it was really impressive how Microsoft is actually working to give time back and saving to customers.
Yeah, it's all about sparking the imagination and being able to kind of, slim down the IT complexity, but also give people new tools in order to get work done. Very exciting.
Yeah, Autopilot is on the front end. So you're going to deploy, how can I just ship a Service Hub and not have an IT pro go and be part of the installation? Reduces costs by not having that body out there, plug into power and Ethernet, and you're off to the races, just like Autopilot on your laptops. Frank showed you the Pro Portal where he could remotely control the hub. That's after the fact it's deployed. And now we have tools on the front end and the back end to help reduce cost and maintenance and keep these things operational from start to finish.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that this isn't just a touch display. This is an enterprise-grade device. It's about taking these capabilities, taking an application like Teams, but wrapping a full deploy, manage, and secure environment around it, all for Microsoft 365 as to how you can manage it, but also manage it not in a unique way, but in the same way you manage all your smaller devices as well. So we're just coming in alignment with essentially how do you handle that and how do you get that granular control that you need if you have a large enterprise environment.
Really incredible combination of all the cloud features, ease of deployment, and all this new management options. It's the full package. Yeah. So speaking of that, we only have a few minutes left, and folks are probably wondering how can they get a Hub 3 or upgrade their 2S. John, could you tell us how folks could go about doing that?
Yes, there are actually a few ways how you can get the Surface Hub 3. The first one is going to be when you buy the Surface Hub 3. That's pretty much the easiest way, and you get all of the features that are included with the Surface Hub 3, including rotation on the Surface Hub 3 50 inches version, the Surface Hub 3 pack, which includes more performance, but also Microsoft Teams Room experience as well. Now, that's the first option. The second option is going to be when customers buy the Surface Hub 3 pack. This one option, it is actually designed for Surface Hub 2S users or customer who already own those Surface units, and they want to take advantage of the performance, but also Microsoft Teams Room experience. Now, this option will not provide a smart AI, since when you purchase or that customer purchased the Surface Hub 2S, it came with the traditional camera. But if you are one of those customers who purchased the smart camera, you can still take advantage of all of the features that it comes with the Surface Hub 3 out of the box. Now, the last one option is actually, I'm going to split this one, is through over there and also VMR, right?
Yes.
And over there, pretty much what it is that Microsoft will be releasing around January, February, we'll be releasing an auction for customers who can actually upgrade their Surface Hub 2S. This auction is also designed for Surface Hub 2S users who they don't want to purchase the Surface Hub 3 pack right now, but they can still take advantage of the Microsoft Teams Room experience. And the last one is going to be VMR. So that is an auction that is being offered with the Surface Hub 2S, and where customer can actually go to the Microsoft support website, and they can download the VMR and install the operating system by following the process. And I think the last one is actually when you contact Unified Communications. Yes, you can also get Surface Hub 3S with us. It is available at Unified Communications. If you have any questions, we can help you with pricing, demos. Please reach out to us.
I assume that also includes services to help with the migration if the customer needs help in that area too?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, we are right at the end of time. I want to send a huge thanks to Frank and Mark for joining us today and the awesome demo. For anyone who's watching this live or the rebroadcast, we're here to help you continue this discussion. So we're offering complimentary Surface Hub 3 strategy sessions to anyone that attends this event. So that will be led by one of our UnifiedCommunications.com strategists, really deep dive into the Hub 3 and really how your organization can break these collaboration boundaries. So be on the lookout for a link to that after the session. So with that, right at the end of time, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, and we'll call it a wrap.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.